Hey there guys, what is going on? Sai here and welcome back yet again to another Gran Turismo 7 setup video for the channel. Today guys, I've got something very beastly to share with you, which is this Porsche 917 Living Legend. Now ever since the trailer for Gran Turismo, this car has been all over the internet, and I have been super excited to actually get behind the wheel of this thing because it is absolutely gorgeous. It's monstrous. It's got tons of power, and it just looks the part. But unfortunately, Polyphony or Gran Turismo had ruined this car. Now let me explain. This car type is racing car. As you guys can see on the bottom left in the hashtag there, it's a racing car. Unfortunately, it doesn't really drive like a racing car. It drives more like a high performance road car. The brakes on this thing don't particularly work very well. You can't really use it in any racing conditions because it's an unmarked race car. It hasn't got any groups to race with, so it's just basically going to sit in your garage collecting dust. Give it a nice livery and just see if I can revamp the way this car feels and handles and so forth. Don't get me wrong, this car is still a handful to drive, but it drives a lot better. You have to sort of play around with the throttle and your gearing ratio as you're coming out with your out of a bend and so forth. Basically, what you want to do with this car to get it not to spin is upshift a little bit through the mid bend, early bends, and so forth, so about halfway to 3/4 of the RPM range, and you get a nice clean exit out. Uh, and you'll be on your way, and brake as early as you can, but without braking too prematurely as well. So that is the top tip I can give you guys for driving this car. Now let's go ahead and jump into the setup. So I've actually made two setups for this car. So I've got an unrestricted maxed out setup, which is this. Unfortunately, you can't really add any performance parts. I was quite disappointed I couldn't add a turbocharger, like a high RPM or anything like that. So that is a downside to this car. But either way, this car has got monstrous power, and the torque as well on this thing is absolutely crazy. And I've also got a 800 pp setup with racing hard tires. So let's go ahead with the maxed out setup. So for the tires, I always tune my cars on racing hard tires regardless of what they are, just because I can get a nice feel of what the car is going through, or the stresses through the bends and so forth. So, and also if I tune them on a harder compound tire, swapping tires over to like a sports soft and so forth won't be an issue as much as I'll tune it on the stickiest compound like it's racing soft tires. So there's that as well. So racing hard tires for this maxed out setup, the body height is going to be 88 at the front and 90 at the rear. Anti-roll bar is 8 at the front and 10 at the rear. Damping ratio compression is 32 at the front and 36 at the rear. Damping ratio expansion is 40 all around. Natural frequency is 3.50 at the front and 3.75 at the rear. Negative camber angle is 2.5 at the front and 3.0 at the rear. Toe angle is neutral at the front at 0 and in 0.20 at the rear. Moving down to the fully differential customization, initial torque is 10 for the rear, acceleration sensitivity is 5 at the rear, and braking sensitivity is 25 at the rear, or you can go with 20 as well depending on your braking style. Moving down to the aerodynamics, this car, as I said, is pretty much a brick. Therefore, we're gonna have to max out the aerodynamics on this car to make it feel more like a race car would. Unfortunately, it is the only way to get this thing to actually turn and have stability as well, especially at higher speed tracks like Yamagiwa, Fuji, Bathurst, De La Sarre, and so forth. So yeah, that really helps this car out a lot. For the transmission, we want to go down, select the fully customizable racing transmission, and we want to preset that to 390 kilometers an hour. This is just your generic um, gear ratio there that works really well with this car. It won't top out; it will stay just slightly above halfway at the at the high speed. So you've got plenty enough RPMs left in case you are drafting somebody. Now moving down to the parts you want to go down to the brake controller and have that equipped to either -1 or -2. Once again, this is dependent on your driving style and the circuit as well. For a very complex track like Suzuka, you know, Catalunya, Barcelona, and so forth, um, Interlagos, I would have that a little bit higher, maybe -3, as it is an MR car. Um, for more high speeds, -1 to 0 possibly would work really well, but I choose it to have -1. So let's go ahead, guys, and take it for a spin.